The Master Sword, the blade of evil's bane, the sword that seals the darkness. For many years, Zelda fans believed that this sword was unbreakable, unshakable, indestructible. But with the advent of Breath of the Wild, we saw that the Master Sword can sustain some heavy damage. While initially thought to be rust, it was truly that of damage by malice, with the entire sword chipped and damaged here and there, spattered with malice itself. It was truly to the point of disbelief, so much so that the sword had to heal and rest over 100 years, much like Link himself. Further along with the game's own story and mechanics, the power of the Master Sword can be exhausted if overused. But this was thought to be leaning more towards the mechanics of Breath of the Wild. And in many regards within that of Breath of the Wild, the sword continued to prove true as one of the most powerful and iconic weapons in all of Zelda. But now we come to Tears of the Kingdom, in which the Master Sword has been damaged way beyond that of anything we've seen in The Legend of Zelda before, with the blade completely broken off and mangled by what seems to be a more advanced form of malice. But how is something like this possible? Well, the answer lies within the heart, name, and identity of the Master Sword and its master. As implied throughout the Zelda games and finally confirmed within Breath of the Wild and its outlying material, the Master Sword is Link's counterpart, a dual spiritual entity tied to that of the spirit of the hero, as Link being the one to forge the Master Sword out of the Goddess Blade from the events of Skyward Sword. With the awakening of the true Master Sword from the blessing of Hylia, the sword only answers to Link's beck and call. Well, maybe that of the goddess as well. The point is, the Master Sword acts as a physical embodiment, a tool, an extension of the spirit of the hero, Link himself, the Master. In which if the Master, Link himself, were to sustain heavy damage, so does the Master Sword. The Master Sword reflects the vitality and prowess of the one that wields it. That's why when Link sustained heavy damage when defending Zelda in Breath of the Wild's past, the sword also reflected the weakening of the hero spirit's vitality, and explains why the Master Sword was able to heal while Link healed over the course of 100 years. And a concept like this isn't new. In past Zelda games, we've seen the Master Sword able to utilize Link's vitality when it's at its highest, reflecting powerful abilities when his health is at its max, such as the Sword Beam that can only be used by the Master Sword in certain games, as well as the Great Spin. But to keep your health at max, well, this video has been sponsored by Factor. Are you in the mood for some good food, but you're too busy to go out or cook at home? Well, Factor's got your back with fresh, ready-made, chef-created meals delivered right to your doorstep. Choose from a wide range of delicious meals that are updated weekly and fits your lifestyle if you're following keto, low-calorie, or vegan and vegetarian lifestyles. I've been using Factor myself. My personal favorite is the jalapeno popper burger. Preparation is super simple. It's never been this easy to eat delicious and nutritious. Click the link in the description box below or head over to the website and use my code for 50% off your first box today. Going further, this explains why the spirit of the hero in multiple Zelda games must be at the level needed to wield the Master Sword. It's not truly to wield, it's to make sure that the spirit's power matches that of the Master Sword, that they are in complete sync, which would explain why Link needed the Pendants of Virtue in A Link Between Worlds and A Link to the Past, and why Link needed to be aged 7 years in Ocarina of Time. Going in line with the quote from the Hero Shade, who is the hero of time, in stating, "A sword wields no strength unless the hand that holds it has courage." But that brings up the Master Sword fallacy in the Wind Waker and A Link to the Past, in which the links from the adult timeline and the downfall timeline aren't related to the links of the past through blood. These new links had to inherit the spirit of the hero in a different way when compared to that of the Link from Twilight Princess, who is a direct descendant of the hero of time, inherited his blood, inherited his spirit, and inherited the Triforce of Courage. The Link in the Wind Waker and the Link in A Link to the Past had to cultivate their own spirits in order to be worthy to house the spirit of the hero needed in order to wield the Master Sword. Wind Waker Link was able to accomplish this by going through the trials he did leading up to him gaining the Master Sword, where he had to obtain the pearls of the goddess beforehand and go through the challenge of the Tower of the Gods. And this double-edged point can also expose the truth behind the Master Sword losing its powers in the time of the Wind Waker. While it's initially believed that the sages of Earth and Wind were necessary to maintain the Master Sword's power, that could have been a half-truth, in which Link, finding the sages' descendants, help push the spirit of the hero within him to its prime. Breath of the Wild showed this to a lesser extent, in which Link had to heal for the blade to heal. And then we get to The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, where it's dreadfully apparent that not only the Master Sword loses its blade, but Link loses an arm, in which this insane damage to Link's body is reflected in a gruesome way to the Master Sword. But don't fret, as Link is shown to gain a new arm, possibly that of a Zonai arm, and as we see in the logo for Tears of the Kingdom, and confirmed by Nintendo, the Master Sword will gain a new evolution. It will gain a new blade, to reflect this new growth that both the Master and the Sword will have in Tears of the Kingdom.